The Codex Leicester is an extraordinary document as to Leonardo's scientific and engineering research.
Leonardo da Vinci's genius blurred the boundaries between art, science, and engineering. While his paintings, such as The Last Supper and the Mona Lisa, have captivated the world for centuries, it is in his detailed notebooks, spanning more than 13,000 pages, that we find the full spectrum of his intellect. Contained within the Codex Atlanticus, Codex Leicester, Codex Arundel, and others are sketches of machines far ahead of their time. Recreating Da Vinci's inventions today is an ambitious convergence of Renaissance vision and 21st century technology. As modern tools like AI, 3D simulation, and potentially even quantum computing enter the scene, the effort to reconstruct Leonardo's mechanical world is evolving. Today, we'll explore how quantum AI is helping us rebuild a device hidden in Da Vinci's lost sketches and what we have accomplished so far. Let's get started. Bringing Da Vinci's vision to life. The earliest known physical reconstructions of Leonardo's machines began in the 19th century, during a time when Europe experienced a surge of interest in Renaissance figures and their contributions to modern knowledge. This period coincided with the Romantic movement and a growing respect for historical science. One of the first institutions to systematically interpret and reconstruct Da Vinci's designs was the Istituto e Museo di Storia della Scienza in Florence, now known as the Museo Galileo.
The room dedicated to the great scientist is the heart of the Museo Galileo.
Founded in 1927, the museum began producing wooden models of Leonardo's inventions as part of its mission to celebrate Italy's scientific heritage. These early models, based on drawings from the Codex Atlanticus and other manuscripts, focused primarily on Da Vinci's mechanical devices, such as pulleys, gears, cranes, and hydraulic systems. Crafted by artisans under the guidance of historians and engineers, these reconstructions were limited by their time's understanding of Da Vinci's engineering logic, but they laid the groundwork for bigger stuff. More sophisticated interpretations followed in the 20th century. By the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the recreation of Da Vinci's machines took on a more precise, multidisciplinary character. One of the most significant modern institutions leading this effort is the Leonardo III Museum in Milan, which opened in 2013. Located in the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II, just steps from the Piazza del Duomo, the museum is home to over 200 interactive models of Leonardo's inventions, many of which were digitally reconstructed and then physically built. Among the most famous are the aerial screw, often considered a precursor to the modern helicopter, the self-propelled cart, regarded as an early example of autonomous vehicle engineering, and the mechanical lion, a robot-like device commissioned by King Francis I of France in 1515. Interestingly, each of these inventions had never been built during Leonardo's lifetime, either because of technological constraints or because they were conceived as theoretical exercises. The aerial screw, for instance, is believed to have been designed to compress air beneath a rotating spiral canvas, but modern wind tunnel tests and computer simulations suggest that it would have been too heavy to lift off with materials available in the 15th century. Nonetheless, the Leonardo III Museum's working models provide valuable insight into Leonardo's deep understanding of aerodynamics, propulsion, and automation. Their reconstructions are based on a rigorous study of primary sources, especially the Codex Atlanticus, which contains over 100 pages of Da Vinci's engineering sketches. Another notable example of modern reconstruction is the Da Vinci Machines exhibition, a global traveling showcase that has appeared in more than 80 cities worldwide, including New York, Tokyo, Istanbul, and Santiago. Created by a team of Italian artisans and historians from Florence and Rome, this exhibition features life-sized working models of Leonardo's designs, built using materials authentic to the Renaissance period, mainly wood, rope, linen, and iron. The exhibition includes hands-on replicas of Da Vinci's bridges, water-lifting devices, military machines, and flying devices, all based on meticulous analysis of his notebooks. In the United Kingdom, The Royal Armouries Museum in Leeds has also undertaken the reconstruction of Da Vinci's military inventions, particularly his armoured tank. First sketched around 1487, this vehicle was designed as a circular, mobile battle station covered in slanted metal plates and armed with numerous cannons. In 2003, engineers at the museum built a full-scale model to test the design. They discovered that the tank's internal gear system, if constructed exactly as drawn, would have rendered it immobile due to mechanical contradictions. Leonardo may have inserted a deliberate error to prevent misuse or to protect his intellectual property. When corrected, the machine was able to rotate and simulate movement, validating the core concept behind the design. Parallel to these museum-led efforts, the recreation of Da Vinci's machines has found a strong presence in televised media and popular documentaries. In 2009, the Discovery Channel launched a 4-part documentary series titled Doing Da Vinci, in which a team of engineers, craftsmen, and historians constructed several of Leonardo's inventions from scratch. These included the machine gun, revolving bridge, and a giant crossbow known as the ballista. The team used only tools and materials that would have been available in Da Vinci's time to test the feasibility of the designs under real-world Renaissance conditions. Another impactful contribution came from National Geographic's documentary Leonardo, the Man Who Saved Science, which aired in 2017. This program explored Leonardo's contributions to mechanics, anatomy, and fluid dynamics, emphasizing how his studies prefigured many principles of modern physics and engineering. The documentary included animations and simulations of his flying machines and underwater breathing apparatus, providing a digital dimension to the study of his work. Unlike hands-on reconstructions, these simulations offered a deeper look into the why behind Da Vinci's inventions, why he designed machines that would only become viable centuries later, and what that reveals about his approach to science as a form of philosophical inquiry. Where early model makers in the 19th century relied solely on carpentry and visual interpretation, today's recreators combine engineering, history, materials science, and digital modeling to test hypotheses about function and design. These reconstructions honor the legacy of a man often described as the father of modern engineering, and also act as educational tools that bring Renaissance thought into dialogue with modern technology. Through physical models, traveling exhibitions, museum installations, and multimedia programs, Leonardo's machines have come to life, but it's not always the easiest thing to do. Challenges in recreating Da Vinci's inventions. Despite his reputation as one of history's greatest engineers and visionaries, many of Leonardo's mechanical designs remain enigmatic or incomplete. His surviving notebooks, estimated to contain around 7,200 pages, though only about 4,000 have been found, are filled with sketches and notes that often lack context, measurements, or fully realized blueprints. The most prominent among these is the Codex Atlanticus, a 1,119-page compilation preserved at the Biblioteca Ambrosiana in Milan. While it contains some of his most detailed technical drawings, many are missing critical information. This incompleteness makes it difficult for historians and engineers to accurately interpret what Leonardo intended or to reproduce the machines in functioning form. One of the most fundamental hurdles in deciphering Leonardo's work is his use of mirror writing, a technique in which he wrote from right to left in reverse, though this method has often been romanticized as an attempt to keep his work secret. Scholars generally believe it was a practical habit suited to Leonardo's left-handedness, allowing him to avoid smudging the ink. Regardless of his reasons, mirror writing complicates transcription and interpretation. Furthermore, Leonardo frequently employed idiosyncratic abbreviations, wrote in Italian dialects of the time, and switched topics rapidly, often covering anatomy, hydraulics, flight, and art, all on the same page. This cryptic, non-linear writing style forces modern researchers to carefully decode each passage before any physical modeling can begin. The material limitations of Leonardo's time also create complications for accurate reconstruction. Many of his machines rely on principles that require components or materials that either did not exist in the 15th century or were not yet refined to usable standards. For example, in his designs for flying machines and the aerial screw, considered an early conceptual ancestor to the helicopter, Leonardo envisioned lightweight frames made of reed or linen combined with tight wound springs and pulleys. However, modern tests have shown that these materials, even if constructed precisely as drawn, would not have been sufficient to achieve lift. Similarly, his concepts for metal gears, screw threads, and bearings often assumed tolerances and precision manufacturing techniques that were centuries away from being viable. These limitations suggest that while Leonardo's mechanical understanding was advanced, the technological infrastructure of his era simply could not support many of his ideas. Some of his devices, such as the robotic knight, which used a series of pulleys and gears to simulate human movement, or the self-propelled cart, an early version of the automobile, were so far ahead of their time that even modern engineers struggled to reverse engineer them with confidence. In 2002, roboticist Mark Rosheim used Leonardo's sketches to build a working version of the robotic knight, and found it capable of basic movements like sitting and standing. However, this success relied on filling in logical gaps in the original sketches, meaning it was partly an interpretation rather than a faithful reproduction. So, while Da Vinci's machines demonstrate exceptional theoretical foresight, turning them into fully functional realities often demands a blend of historical knowledge, engineering intuition, and speculative reasoning. Digital and simulation-based reconstructions. With the use of computer-aided design or CAD software and physics engines, researchers can now visualize and evaluate machines that Leonardo himself never had the opportunity to build. One of the most prominent contributors in this space is Autodesk, a leader in CAD software. Using programs like AutoCAD and Fusion 360, Autodesk engineers and historians have collaborated to reconstruct some of Leonardo's most ambitious designs, including several of his flying machines. These models are created using data extracted from the Codex on the Flight of Birds, a notebook compiled by Leonardo between 1505 and 1506, and now housed at the Biblioteca Reale in Turin. The Codex contains over 35 pages of notes and diagrams in which Leonardo analyzed avian flight and designed ornithopters, devices meant to mimic bird wings. Autodesk's virtual models helped clarify how these devices might have been constructed using 15th century materials and, more importantly, whether they could achieve any form of lift. While most of the models failed to meet the requirements for sustained flight in modern simulations, they affirmed Leonardo's deep empirical observations. Another key player in digital reconstructions is the Leonardo 3 Museum in Milan, which has developed an extensive collection of virtual Da Vinci Museum exhibits. These simulations are interactive, physics-aware renderings that allow users to operate Leonardo's machines in real time. For instance, visitors can engage with a digital version of his self-propelled cart, adjusting the tension in the leaf springs to observe how energy is transferred to the wheels. Other digital models include the hydraulic saw, the mechanical drum, and the mechanical lion designed for King Francis I of France in 1515. These reconstructions are based on high-resolution scans of original manuscripts and use algorithms to hypothesize the missing elements where Leonardo's notes are ambiguous or incomplete. In addition to TIAD models, physics-based simulation platforms like SolidWorks and Unity are now used to test mechanical functions within Da Vinci's designs. SolidWorks, a tool widely used in mechanical engineering, enables detailed simulation of gear trains, torque values, friction forces, and energy flow, ideal for analyzing complex machines such as the robotic knight, mechanical drum, and water-lifting devices. In 2002, NASA contractor and roboticist Mark Rosheim used simulations to design and later build a working model of Leonardo's robotic knight. Similarly, game engines like Unity have been employed in educational apps and museum installations to simulate Da Vinci's machines in motion.
We develop robotic devices for the Department of Defense, NASA, and industry.
These simulations use real-time physics calculations to depict how forces act on different components, offering insights that cannot be gleaned from static diagrams. In particular, Unity has been used by the Italian National Research Council in collaboration with universities to develop immersive learning tools for students studying Renaissance engineering. Through these digital and physics-based reconstructions, Leonardo da Vinci's inventions have been given a second life in the digital age. The use of advanced modeling software has enabled researchers to test hypotheses, validate mechanical principles, and even spot errors or impracticalities that may have gone unnoticed in Leonardo's time. More importantly, these simulations allow the public to experience the genius of Da Vinci in a way that is both accessible and deeply informed by science. This brings us to the AI revolution. Role of AI in Da Vinci reconstructions. Traditionally dependent on meticulous manual transcription and physical modeling, Da Vinci scholarship now harnesses the power of machine learning, computer vision, and predictive algorithms to decode his enigmatic works. These tools offer unprecedented speed and accuracy in understanding and reconstructing Leonardo's designs, many of which were too complex or incomplete to be fully realized in previous centuries. One of the most significant areas where AI has already made a measurable impact is in the transcription and decoding of Da Vinci's original manuscripts. Da Vinci's mirror writing and unstandardized orthography had long challenged historians and linguists. Enter Transcribus, a machine learning platform developed by the University of Innsbruck and supported by the European READ, or Recognition and Enrichment of Archival Documents project. The platform has been adapted by teams such as those at the University of Basel to read mirrored and abbreviated Renaissance Italian. Leveraging neural networks, Transcribus can now transcribe thousands of pages of Da Vinci's notes with over 92% accuracy, drastically reducing the time once needed for manual transcription. In parallel, Google AI has collaborated with institutions like the Vatican Apostolic Library to experiment with computer vision algorithms that can identify visual patterns across fragmented manuscripts. When applied to Da Vinci's notebooks, this approach allows researchers to digitally reunite pages that have been separated across time and geography. For example, by comparing stroke patterns and ink flow, the system can match sketches scattered between the Codex Arundel in the British Library and the Codex Atlanticus in Milan's Biblioteca Ambrosiana. Moving beyond transcription, AI also plays a critical role in predictive modeling and gap filling, especially where Leonardo's sketches are incomplete or ambiguous. Research teams at MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory have developed AI-assisted tools capable of interpreting Da Vinci's partial mechanical drawings. Using datasets comprised of historical mechanical diagrams and contemporary blueprints, these systems train neural networks to hypothesize missing components in Da Vinci's machines. For instance, when analyzing his self-propelled cart, AI suggested alternative gear alignments that would improve torque transfer, providing viable engineering solutions based on both Renaissance design logic and modern mechanical principles. This technique mirrors how Da Vinci himself might have refined his inventions had he possessed today's computational capacity. Further experimental applications of AI involve generative algorithms that offer interpretations of ambiguous or seemingly impractical devices. In collaboration with the Politecnico di Milano, researchers have used AI to simulate and propose plausible functions for Da Vinci's self-winding spring-powered devices, which appear in the Codex Madrid. The AI models, trained on historical chronometers and kinetic sculptures, posited that these designs could represent early explorations of automatic tension regulation, a concept foundational to later developments in watchmaking and robotics. The next frontier in this interdisciplinary pursuit lies in the realm of quantum AI. While classical AI operates linearly, quantum artificial intelligence leverages quantum bits, or qubits, to perform massive parallel computations. This allows the system to process millions of design permutations simultaneously. For example, Da Vinci's hydraulic machines such as the water wheel-powered saw or his vortex-generating devices, involve turbulent flow dynamics that are notoriously difficult to model with classical computation. Quantum algorithms could simulate such fluid mechanics scenarios far more efficiently. Quantum AI can also identify non-linear logical patterns in Leonardo's engineering thought. Unlike modern design processes, Da Vinci's notebooks often reflect associative and iterative thinking. Quantum-enhanced machine learning could help researchers trace connections between seemingly unrelated sketches, such as a gear system on one page and a pulley system 100 pages later, and propose integrated interpretations. This kind of analysis might even help resolve long-standing debates about the function or chronology of his designs. D-Wave Systems, a leader in quantum hardware, has expressed interest in applying quantum optimization to cultural heritage projects, and preliminary discussions with academic partners are already underway. Such partnerships could soon enable complex simulations that not only reconstruct Da Vinci's inventions, but also test them under hypothetical Renaissance era and modern engineering conditions. The implications of these advancements are vast. For historians, AI opens a more detailed window into Da Vinci's mind, revealing the architectural and mechanical logic behind his inventions in ways that traditional methods never could. For engineers, studying Da Vinci through AI provides a unique bridge between past and present. The robotic knight, for example, has inspired motion algorithms in prosthetics and humanoid robots, while his aerial screw continues to influence modern rotorcraft research. AI allows these designs to be reverse-engineered, not only as historical artifacts, but also as functional prototypes with relevance today. Moreover, the use of AI in Da Vinci research sets a powerful precedent for interdisciplinary education. Students at institutions such as Stanford University and ETH Zurich have already incorporated AI-aided Da Vinci reconstructions into their coursework, merging data science with art history and mechanical engineering. Public museums, too, are benefiting. Virtual Da Vinci exhibitions powered by AI are now accessible via VR headsets and mobile apps, reaching millions globally. The Leonardo da Vinci exhibition in Paris and the Tech Interactive Museum in San Jose have both used AI to create immersive displays where visitors can operate Da Vinci's machines in real time. The legacy of Da Vinci is no longer confined to parchment and wood. It is now a dynamic conversation between a Renaissance genius and the artificial intelligences of the 21st century. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.